Right now, I want to give you my top 5 tips on how to transition to a gluten, dairy-free diet for an autoimmune disease or psoriasis, really whatever the reason may be that you're switching to this diet. I want to give you tips that I personally used. My name is Drew Smith. I've had psoriasis for 20 years. I've managed it over that time with a variety of different things. Recently, the last 3 years, I went gluten and dairy free. It significantly helped and reduced my symptoms and psoriasis flare-ups, how my skin feels, my confidence, many great things about switching to this diet. So the first tip that I have to give is you have to buy into this. You have to believe that this is going to work for you. There's tons of science out there. There's tons of research. You can even look at the comments in my videos on my channel. People are sharing their story. Switching gluten and dairy free does work. If you're watching this video and you've done it, please share your story to let other people know as well. The thing that really sold me was Dr. Tom O'Brien and their book, The Autoimmune Fix. Link in the description of this video if you want to find it. He does a really great job of going the clinical route, showing the research, working with clients, hundreds and maybe thousands of clients. When it boils down to the basics, the main thing that they all suffered was leaky gut, and it was gluten and dairy was the culprit or the main problem. He had really high success rate with clients that eliminated those two things and then would take it a step further if necessary. So that sold me on it, and it was a great clinical way to actually show the research that it does work. So you got to buy into it. If you believe this works, it's going to be that much easier knowing that it does help you and it does fix you. It's true, it works. I'm walking, talking, living, breathing proof that switching gluten and dairy free does actually work, help fix psoriasis. The next thing is reestablishing your relationship with food. So when I switched and I first went in, I was trying to just replace the current items that I was eating with gluten and dairy-free options, when really that doesn't work. At least it didn't work for me. I liked yogurt and honey. Now switching from regular yogurt made from dairy and cow's milk to almond yogurt or coconut yogurt, it just wasn't the same and it didn't work. And that was across the board with a lot of things. Breads, some processed foods, lots of different desserts and things like that. It just doesn't work like that, a 1-to-1 ratio. So reestablishing your relationship with food and saying, hey, I'm going to start expanding my diet. I'm going to try new things. I'm going to look for new flavors. I'm going to look for new recipes. Really flipping your diet upside down and starting from scratch. Don't do what I did and just try to replace things 1-to-1 with a gluten-free, dairy-free option. Really look at new recipes, expanding your horizons, and really opening up your world to new foods and trying different things. So reestablish your relationship with food and just know that you're going to flip everything upside down, do a complete 180. You're starting from scratch. The next here is getting support from your family and friends. You got to have buy-in from them as well. Show them the research if you need to. Let them know what you're doing. Be very transparent with everybody around you, friends, family, co-workers, colleagues. Everybody needs to know what you're doing and buy into it. This is going to fix you, and let people know that, and let people know that when it comes to gluten and dairy, it makes you sick. Like, it physically harms you, so that they truly understand the impacts of it. Because you can't be out there arguing with friends and family about what to eat and they'll just be like, oh, just forget about it this one time. No, you have to stick to it and you have to have them understand. So my wife, my family, my friends, they all truly understand, and they don't even try to offer me things. And they're actually looking out for me. They're looking at things. They're like, hey, I found these really great snacks. They're all natural. They don't have any gluten or dairy in them. They're very limited ingredients. You should check it out. So people are on my side with it, and that's my inner circle and my support system. So everybody's bought into this. My wife, my daughter, they don't really mind all of the gluten and dairy-free options that I make, and I make some really great food, and it's naturally GF and DF. That's my shortened version of gluten-free and dairy-free options, and they love it. So get the buy-in from your support system. That's going to help you a lot as you're going through this. The next thing is to develop a plan. So you need to be a little bit methodical about this when you start out. I jumped in cold turkey, just cut it off all at once, and that was really hard and stressful. I think it would be a better idea to really develop a plan and go in it just little by little. I would suggest, if you're like me, I'm pretty much at this point reserved that I'm going to be gluten and dairy free forever. So this is a lifestyle change for me. This is moving forward. This is forever. So I don't need to do it all at once, and it doesn't have to happen immediately. So building that plan, I would suggest on your first month, just focus on breakfast. All I'm going to do is worry about eliminating and coming up with gluten-free, dairy-free options for breakfast. Once you get that under control, then the next month, month number 2, do that for lunch. Then the next month, month number 3, do that for dinner. And then look at your snacks as well and things that you're doing in between. And that way you can stagger it so it doesn't feel so overwhelming. It gives you time to develop and learn a new routine. Depending on what you do and what your schedule's like, you might have to figure out cooking food before and meal prepping because you've got to have lunch. You might not have access at lunchtime, whether you're working or not, to get some of these items that are gluten and dairy free. So just take your time, build a plan, and don't stress yourself out too much as far as needing to jump into it all at once. And that leads into my 5th tip, which is this is a marathon. It's not a race. So be patient with yourself, be kind to yourself. Don't beat yourself up if you're not perfect at the beginning. It's a marathon. You know, going throughout this process, if you eat a little bit of gluten and dairy, you have a couple slip-ups, it's not going to destroy all of the work that you've done, okay? In my experience, I've noticed that. So I have intermittently kind of sprinkled in some gluten and dairy throughout the last 3 years. My psoriasis didn't come back to where it was before. I might have had some flare-ups at times, but it doesn't completely ruin your progress if you have some slip-ups and mistakes. So don't think about them as mistakes or slip-ups or regressions. This is life. We have to live life. So just be kind to yourself and know that it's a marathon. So if 80% of the time you're on point, 90% of the time you're sticking to it, and 10-20% of the time there's some slip-ups, don't beat yourself up about it. There's a much further goal in mind, and you don't have to get there overnight. And with psoriasis, it just takes time. You know how it expresses itself? It does take time for it to show results. So just be good to yourself and understand that it's a long-term process and that you're not alone. There's lots of us out here, as I'm learning that as well. So thank you very much for engaging with me and sharing your story. That's how I would reapproach it if I was starting all over again from scratch. Those 5 tips I think will help you be very successful if you're thinking about making the switch from gluten-free to dairy-free. And then check out some more of my videos. If you're just tuning in for the first time, I have done other stuff on why this helps, how this helps, and some things that you need to know. I'm also on a modified intermittent fasting diet, which has shown some results, positive results for participants with psoriasis as well. So please feel free to continue along with me on this journey. If you like this video, that lets me know that you enjoyed and kind of connected with what I'm saying here. And if you subscribe, that tells me that you truly want to follow me along this journey. I will continue to publish videos like this so that you can see my results and progress along the way, so you can really know for yourself if this does work. So check out some of my other stuff. Again, my name is Drew. I'll see you in the next one.